people never know exactly what someone's going through when depression hits. Hey guys, welcome back to the show, welcome back to the diaries. So yes, talking about depression, as the great Winston Churchill once put it, the Black Dog, how J.K. Rowling described it in the Harry Potter books, the Dementors, and everything else in between. Any other name you want to give it, the Black Dog, the Black Cloud, the Great Depression, anything. No one ever truly understands what someone's going through when they say, I have depression. Because it's so different for everyone. Granted, there's a difference between depression and mood swings or low mood. I have mild... I'm going to rephrase that sentence. I believe I have mild depression because of the way I feel and the way I get. When I have moments like this, it's not just I'm in a low mood, it's that I just don't want to do anything. I don't want to talk to anyone, I don't want to be involved in anything at all, I just don't want to do anything at all. Most of the time, if I'm at home during these moods, I'll probably just sleep. Because there's not much point in me being awake, so it's like I'm just going to sleep through it. And it's the way I cope with it. Because it's like, when I wake up, it's like, I slept through it. Right, okay, all gone. Sometimes that can be a bad thing, because at that point you're bottling it up. So I kind of wanted to talk about what it's like for me and what better coping strategies are out there and what coping strategies other people with depression can use, because there are far too many suicides relating to depression, and I think that needs to stop. I mean, granted, people, if they're in so much pain that they want to end their own life and they're in that state, they will do absolutely anything they can to end their life. But there are a few survivors of the Golden Gate Bridge. The Golden Gate Bridge, for those of you who don't know, is one of the top most suicide spots, I believe, in Britain. I believe it's in Britain. Because it's the biggest bridge, and there are so many people that the Coast Guards and lifeguards pull out of that water a year that are just bodies when they pull them out. They're no longer breathing, they're no longer alive. But there are a couple, if not a small handful of survivors of the Golden Gate Bridge who they've pulled out with severe injuries. They might now be paralysed, or in the case of one particular person, he did break his back, his vertebrae, but luckily he managed to, as far as I'm aware, he managed to keep the little nerve that runs down the back intact enough not to become paralysed. Just super quick tangent. To be paralysed, you know, on the back you've got the spine. Along that spine there is a nerve going from the back of your brain, going from your brain at the back of your head right down to your, what people call the coccyx, which is the very top of your bum. It's at the top of your bum. It's about hip height kind of place. It's relatively where the legs reach your pelvis. And if that cord, not necessarily the spinal cord itself, but if that nerve gets damaged in any center or any spot, you can become paralyzed from that spot down. So if you get damage here, you'll be paralyzed from the neck down. If you get damage from your waist, you'll be paralyzed waist down. Pretty simple. that, it's... Some people say it's reasonably strong, some people say it's reasonably weak. But just because some people say it's weak doesn't mean to say you need to be worried about it. Because a tiny fall on your bum, say you're slipping on the ice tomorrow, or not necessarily say you're slipping on the ice tomorrow, but say you slipped on the ice, you're not gonna be paralysed from just slipping on the ice and landing on your bum. You might get a pretty sore butt, you might get a pretty sore bum, and especially if you landed on your coccyx bone, that's gonna hurt. Ow. But going off on that, because that's explained how people become paralysed and everything, for those of you who don't know. So, there are survivors of the Golden Gate Bridge who are either paralysed or lucky enough not to be paralysed. And a few of them are turning around and going, it's the biggest mistake of my life jumping off that bridge. And it is. It truly, truly is. There's a statement from one of the guys in particular. Anyone who knows this guy's story will know exactly what I'm talking about. He said that anyone going through depression and is at the state of wanting to end their own lives isn't actually wanting to end their own life per se. They're just wanting the pain to end. And it's that I kind of want to address. That's what I kind of want to say at this point. Pain is normal. You pinch yourself, you feel pain. Someone pinches you, you feel pain. You touch something hot, it hurts. Pain's natural in our lives, but what we're not used to and what we're not able to do is deal with the inner pain that we feel. So we might feel upset, depressed about something, but we can't say, I don't like that. I'm touched by that. That hurts me inside. That makes my heart tear every time I hear about that, or that makes me want to cry. There is one thing in particular that I think needs to stop, and that's the whole men don't cry. Real men don't cry. Real men don't show their feelings. Men are men and they have to be strong. Boys, it's okay to cry. You're not any less of a man if you cry. Trust me. Honest. I'm being serious here. Any man who cries is a true man in my eyes. Because remember, you are only human and humans cry. We wouldn't have the ability to cry if we weren't supposed to. I'm not trying to drop a whole load of God stuff on you. I mean, granted, I am somewhat religious myself. It's just the fact of you can't argue that the human body is made for certain things and made to do certain things, like the female body, for example. The fact that we've got ovaries, the fact that we've got a womb for creating and holding and carrying life for 9 months. You can't argue with the fact that it's just the women that have that ability. Men don't. It's like, well, hang on a minute, why do men not have this ability? Why can't we all carry life? Why is it that seahorses, for example, the male seahorse carries the babies instead of the female? And it's like, because that's the way they're made. That's the way they're made. A Christian will turn around to you and say, oh, it's because it went back to the Garden of Eden when Eve tempted Adam into eating the fruit off the tree. God punished the females for that act by making them carry life. I'm not saying that's untrue. I'm not saying it is true. It's an idea. And it's out there. It's something that Christians will tell you. And the reason why I shrug is because it's understandable, it fits, it suits, it works. But why pass and allow animals like the seahorse to be exempt from that if that's how it works. I'm not saying that God was all there like, oh, this human woman upset me and made man do something I didn't want him to do, so all women species, all women of any kind of anything out there will now carry life as punishment. Because that seems a bit weird. I'm not trying to put any offence onto that part of the Christian faith either. Because like I said, I'm somewhat religious, I'm somewhat Christian myself. The reason why I say somewhat is because I know the Bible, I know what I'm talking about with it. I will use it if I need to, but I'm not going to throw it down anyone's throat. I'm not going to be like, oh, you must become Christian. Because if you don't become Christian, you will burn in hell. I'm not that kind of Christian. I will stick to as much and as many of the Ten Commandments as possible. But because it's the 21st century, I believe in moderation rather than, I'll say 100% outlawing. So, to me, the Ten Commandment, like, thou shalt not, that's not how I'm going to say it. Basically, the one that says no sex before marriage, the one that talks about no sex before marriage. I get it. I know why it's there. I know why it's there. It's there because the Bible states that God wanted everything to be pure. That's what the Garden of Eden was. It was this pure, wonderful paradise. Basically, it was God's paradise. That's what it was. So when Eve had made it impure by talking Adam into eating the fruit and tainting that world, it allowed everything to come through. So to stay pure, you don't want to be going into penetration sex. I mean, most Christians, most seriously devout Christians will say no sexual acts whatsoever, and that's fine. If you can control your urges and deal with anything and not do anything like that, like we'll say masturbation, we'll say penetration, we'll say oral, anything like that, if you can withhold from any of that, more power to you, go for it. I personally, I'm human, so I kind of can't really kind of stop myself from doing that sometimes. But again, only human. So, that's why most Christians will say, well, that's the point of, I want to say redemption, but that's not really what I was going for. But you ask for forgiveness, you will be given forgiveness. You ask for a pardon, you will have your pardon. That there, the asking for forgiveness, the asking for the pardon, is kind of what I want to stick into this, because I noticed that I went on to a serious tangent there. Daring. But then again, I don't script these. You guys, those of you who know, those of you that I've told you, will know I don't script these, because it's video diary, it's supposed to be true to life, it's supposed to be real, and it's supposed to be absolutely from the heart, no fakery. If I know for a fact that if I script this, will happen. And by the way, that's not supposed to be any kind of disrespect to anyone with any kind of disabilities. That's not me saying, if I was to script this, I'd become a person in a chair that really can't do anything for themselves. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is the monotonous tone, the really kind of I'm clearly reading from a script here right now, and I just cannot stop. It's just the energy that I show and that I have. Now, this is why I wanted to do it. I wanted the energy in it. I didn't want the whole monotonous, I'm clearly reading from a script sort of thing that I know that I can go into and that I've just shown that I go into. That's what I was trying to say with that one, is the robotic, monotonous side rather than the whole energy. So the whole ask for redemption, ask for forgiveness, and you shall have it. When I say that, it's not just asking for redemption, asking for forgiveness or anything like that. It's also twisting it back. So, say someone has said something and it's just cut you up inside, or you just watched something and it's just cut you up inside. Don't let that consume you. Because there's a great phrase out there. Don't sweat the small stuff. Don't over care, don't over worry, and don't stress yourself out over what you can't physically fix yourself. Basically, there are so many adverts out there at the minute. I'm not saying that they're bad adverts, I'm not saying that the charities are rubbish or that the charities are increditable, because they're not. I think I might have said that word wrong, increditable. We'll find out. So many different adverts out there that will tug at your heartstrings about African children, African animals, monkeys, apes, everything in between, everything in general that's just going on because of the palm industry, because of forest fires, because of the fact that we have third world countries. They will tug and tug and tug at your heartstrings to get money. I watch those and go, yeah, but I'd rather be on a plane out there and helping to build a school rather than give you £3 a month. That's just my choice, because I know that there are people out there that will make use and light of a situation like that. They'll be like, oh, give us money. Only 2% of this is actually going to go to the charity. Whoa, we've got to pay our aid workers. Aren't the aid workers supposed to be volunteers? You're paying volunteers now? I thought that was illegal. I'm not saying don't trust a charity, I'm just saying be careful. Because there are too many charities out there that say they give money to charities, but only a small percentage of that money actually goes to the charity. But enough of that. Trying to talk about depression, trying to talk about coping strategies, and that's not really it. Procrastination is a big one. For me. But a big coping strategy for depression is just talking. Talking. I did acting for about 5 years. 5 years of college I did it for. 1, 2, 3. No. 3 years. Yeah, 3 years of college I did acting for. Yeah, 3 years of college. Right, so I got into the habit of just randomly talking to myself. Some people might see me on the street and I'm just talking to myself. I'm just running stuff through in my mind, and they're like, I'm very aware that I'm doing this. Someone's walking there, shut up. But talking in general can really help with stuff. Because it gets it off the chest, it gets it out of your head. Because the biggest killer of depression is the mind. It's not actually the heart, it's the mind. If you think about the mind as either a record player, an old style record player, or even a CD or DVD player, but the disc is scratched and it's jumping. Or it's not quite jumping, but it's like, okay, so you got your timeline. So you got today, and then you got 5 weeks ago, and that DVD player is just going taking away today and putting it back to 5 weeks ago, and it's just playing it on again. Every single time it gets to today, it puts it right back to 5 weeks ago. Stop it from doing that. One good way of doing that is to talk. So talk out what happened 5 weeks ago that's just playing back in your mind all the time. If you don't want to talk about it to someone, you don't have to. You can talk about it to yourself. You can talk about it to the mirror. You can talk about it to your pets. Some people talk to cats, some people talk to dogs. Neither of which can or will answer you back, can or will judge you. No judgment from a pet. No judgment whatsoever. They are the safest things to tell your secrets to, because they will never tell them to anyone. But that's not the only one. I mean, if you don't want to speak, you can write it down. A good way for me is writing it down and burning it. That act of burning something, so if I say, so today, history with my ex was bothering me, so I'd write history with my ex on a piece of paper. And I go out and I burn that piece of paper. And I just imagine a little balloon inside me, or a bit of smoke inside me, or a little fire inside me. Whatever you want to imagine, imagine that I'm imagining it. And whatever you want it to be, imagine that I'm imagining it inside me. And every single thing related to that little thing that's on that piece of paper is going into that internal fire. And the smoke is just sending it away. I mean, if you're a smoker in general, you can do it that way as well. As you imagine the fire, you take a puff, put each one of those nasty thoughts into that puff and just blow it out with the smoke that you blow away. And just imagine it leaving you. And I swear to you, if you truly believe it, if you truly do it right, you will feel quite a bit better here. You will feel a lot lighter. Never, ever hang on to anything that's seriously bothering you. If something's making your heart feel heavy, let it go. I know it's difficult, I know it's hard, and it will be, I don't know how. That's fine. No one ever truly knows how to let something go. It's really, really hard to actually let something go. I've been through it. There are so many people on YouTube that's been through it. There are so many people in the world that's been through it. People who we have lost to suicide because of depression have been through it, and they have lost their battle. You can learn from what they went through and why they lost their battle and how they lost their battle. I don't mean how they died, I mean what they didn't do to win that fight. Most of them didn't talk about it. Most of them masqueraded. Masqueraded is basically, I'll put it out there and say, it's what Robin Williams did. We'll just choose him because there is that statement of it's always the happy ones that seem the most depressed. It's true. It is. It's always the ones that look the most happy that have got the most to feel sad about. Because they're putting it on. They're putting that happy face on because they believe if they look sad, then they have to admit that there's something wrong and they're not ready to. Or that if they look sad, everyone's going to be badgering them with questions and they can't deal with it. With autism, this is even worse. Because with autism, we can't work out what's wrong with us in the first place. So we have to work out what's wrong with us, and we could take years and years and years. I mean, for a non-autistic person, it can take years and years and years to work out what's caused this depression in the first place anyway. But to an autistic person, it's even worse, because not only will it take years and years to work it out, but knowing when it's being triggered, knowing when it's coming back, knowing how it's being triggered, knowing what helps is difficult, because the little things that everyone feels, like that little fluttery feeling in your chest every time you get nervous, we feel it, but we don't necessarily know what it means. We might not think we're nervous, so that fluttery feeling would then kind of vanish and turn into some kind of stomach pain. Like when I flew for the first time, I was like, this is exciting, this is good, I like it. And I realised that I had this kind of, obviously it's a bit high up, the camera's a bit high up so you can't really see it, but I had this pain just around my waist, maybe about 3 of my fingers higher than my waistline. And it was like, what's that? Ow! Because it hurt so much, it was confusing. And it was only in one centered spot, and it was my body saying, wait. Allow me to feel this. Allow me to fill you up with this. Which kind of puts me onto the whole, the body is kind of like a balloon in terms of feelings. Feelings and emotions, they come through the body into like a balloon sort of thing. So the balloon swells up with a particular kind of feeling and then it bursts. That can be bad, especially if that feeling is anger. But it can be bad if that feeling is depression as well. Because when it bursts, that's when most people with depression break down, and that's when most people with depression are getting to the point of they don't want it to be here anymore and they just want to end it and just stop it. So if you know that it's a balloon and everything, you can try and deflate it. I mean, there's so many different ways of doing it. I mean, for me, imagination of stuff just happening in my body and just getting rid of it helps. But that doesn't necessarily help for everyone. So which is why I was saying stuff like the burning, the actual things. Most people say cutting helps. Don't do that. Just don't do that. If you need to do something like that, you could get tattoos. It's up to you. I mean, tattoos aren't a problem. I've never had a problem with tattoos as long as they mean something and they look nice and they're in a good position on the body. But tattooing your body just to cut yourself is just... What is the point in putting your body through that trauma just to let go of something here? Because you know, anyone watching this who has cut themselves before will know will know that that pain only ceases for a short amount of time and it comes right back again in a big flood. It comes right back around even stronger. So cutting will only work for a short amount of time. That's why I say don't bother. Don't bother. There is medications and stuff. Again, I wouldn't. Antidepressants. If your doctor has prescribed antidepressants, I'm going to turn back on myself and say, do it. Try as many as you can. The first lot of antidepressants, I will guarantee you will not work and will make you feel like rubbish. They will make you feel like utter rubbish. Stick with them for as long as your doctor has said, and then go back and say, they're not working. The reason why you need to stick with them for as long as the doctor has said is because it can take up to 6 weeks for them to actually fully kick in. And I know they're going to make you feel rubbish, they're going to make you feel sleepy, they're going to make you feel awake or wired. They're just going to probably make you feel sick, make you feel dizzy, anything like that. If it gets too out of hand and too unbearable for you, stop immediately and go to your doctor as soon as you can. I'm not going to say put yourself through more rubbish just to make yourself feel better later. If it's too unbearable, then stop. But if it's just a tiny bit of extra sleepiness, try it. Try the sleep tactic. Because hopefully when you wake up, your spirits are a bit more lifted. One thing that sets off a good day for me is waking up with a smile on my face. If my alarm wakes me up and I have a smile through the alarm, it's going to be a good day. I've had dreams where I've woken up in tears. I've been crying in the dream and I've woken up in tears. I'm not necessarily saying that that's ended up being a bad day, it's just I know that that's going to set me off to not have a good day. So if you know that there's a certain song that lifts your spirits, like with me, for example, Nickelback, After the Rain. Listen to the lyrics of After the Rain, because that song just says it all, big time. Seriously though, if this video is a bit too much, a bit too ranty sort of thing, then just go ahead and listen to that song. Trust me. And I mean, if you don't like Nickelback, just go ahead and read the lyrics, and trust me, try and see what I'm trying to say in that, because those lyrics, they are just perfect for how you can get out of depression. If I'm feeling low, like I'm about to get into a depressive state, all I need to do is listen to that song, sit there, listen to the lyrics, and I'm right as rain again. Because it's like, yeah, that's true. I needed to hear that today. That's good. Again, it's YouTubers, comedians, actors, anything. I mean, Robin Williams, he was a great joy to anyone, a great joy to everyone. Second you see him in a film or a TV show or a comedy skit, it's like laughter, perfect, happy, great, no depression anymore. Thank you, Robin. But that's the problem. While laughter is the greatest healer for depression, those who can make people laugh the best are often doing it so well because they know what pain feels like, and they don't want you to feel it either. They don't want you to feel it as well. So, good message today, I suppose, I wonder, maybe? I don't know. Too much ranty? That is today's question. Too much rant? With the rants, if there's any videos of if there's any of my previous videos where I go on to a different topic in the video that you think I should not necessarily chop out the video, but take to another video and talk about more, let me know in the comments below. If you want to, I don't necessarily want to go into too many too much detail about religion and Christianity and everything between, out of the, not fear, but not wanting to upset any deeply devout Christians out there or anything like that. But yeah, I can, if you want me to, just let me know down below. But as I said, today's question is, was that too much of a rant? Is there anything else you want me to say? Anything I didn't cover? Let me know. So that's it for me today, guys. I'll see you tomorrow. See ya.
Put a little bit of shit, put a little bit of shit, put a little bit of shit.